Why is it that when someone we care about hurts us, we either shut down completely or lash out in ways that make everything worse? If you've ever been hurt by a woman you cared about, you know that crushing feeling. The confusion, the anger mixed with love, the desperate need to either fix things or protect yourself. But here's what most men never learn. How you handle being hurt doesn't just affect the relationship, it defines who you become as a person. The truth is, most of us have never been taught how to navigate emotional pain in relationships. We've been conditioned to either suppress it or explode with it. Neither approach works. And when the person who hurt you is someone you deeply care about, the stakes feel impossibly high. Think about the last time you were really hurt by someone you loved. What did you do? Did you withdraw into yourself, building walls that nobody could penetrate? Did you lash out, saying things you couldn't take back? Did you try to hurt her back, thinking that somehow evening the score would make you feel better? Or maybe you did what so many men do, you just pretended it didn't happen, buried it deep, and let it slowly poison everything good between you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. None of these responses actually handle the situation. They just create more damage on top of the original wound. And the worst part is, they keep you trapped in a cycle where you're either the victim or the aggressor, never the person who can actually create positive change. But what if there was another way? What if you could learn to handle being hurt in a way that actually strengthened you, that preserved your dignity, and that gave the relationship the best possible chance to heal and grow? The first thing you need to understand is that being hurt doesn't make you weak. The pain you feel when someone you care about hurts you, that's not weakness. That's proof that you're human, that you're capable of deep connection, that you have the courage to be vulnerable with another person. Most people go through life with their hearts locked away, never risking real intimacy because they're terrified of exactly what you're experiencing right now. So before you do anything else, acknowledge that pain. Don't minimize it. Don't tell yourself you're being too sensitive. Don't compare your hurt to someone else's trauma and decide yours doesn't matter. Your pain is real, and it deserves to be felt fully before you can move through it. But here's where most men get it wrong. They think feeling the pain means staying in it forever. They think acknowledging hurt means wallowing in victimhood. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about feeling it completely, so you can understand what it's teaching you and then choosing your response from a place of strength, not reactivity. When you're hurt, your brain immediately starts creating stories about what happened and what it means. She doesn't care about me. She did it on purpose. She's just like all the others. She never really loved me. These stories feel true in the moment, but they're usually incomplete at best and completely wrong at worst. Before you can handle the situation effectively, you need to separate what actually happened from the story your hurt is telling you about what happened. This requires you to step back from your emotions, not to dismiss them, but to see them clearly. Ask yourself, what specifically did she do or say that hurt me? Not how it made me feel, not what I think it means about her character or our relationship, just the actual facts of what happened. Write it down if you need to. Get clear on the objective reality before you start interpreting it. Then ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about why she did this? What am I assuming about her intentions, her feelings, her motivations? Be honest about the narrative you've created, because that narrative is probably driving your desire to react in ways that will make everything worse. Here's something most men never consider. Hurt people. Hurt people. If she hurt you, there's a good chance she's operating from her own place of pain, fear, or confusion. That doesn't excuse what she did, but it does give you a different lens through which to understand it. When you're hurt, your first instinct is to make it about you. What did I do wrong? Why doesn't she care about me? How could she do this to me? But mature love requires you to also consider what might be happening in her world that led to this moment. This doesn't mean making excuses for her behavior. It doesn't mean accepting treatment that crosses your boundaries or compromises your self-respect. It means approaching the situation with enough emotional intelligence to see the bigger picture before you decide how to respond. Once you've processed your own emotions and gained some clarity about what actually happened, you have to make a choice about how to move forward. And this choice will reveal more about your character than almost anything else you do in the relationship. You can choose the path of revenge. You can try to hurt her back, either through your words, your actions, or your withdrawal. This path might give you temporary satisfaction, but it will ultimately destroy any possibility of real resolution and will leave you feeling hollow and diminished. You can choose the path of suppression. You can pretend it didn't happen, bury your feelings, and try to go back to normal. This might seem like the peaceful option, but unexpressed hurt always finds a way to surface later, usually in more destructive ways. Or you can choose the path of conscious response. This is the hardest path, but it's the only one that leads to real resolution and growth. Conscious response means addressing what happened directly, honestly, and with respect for both yourself and her. It means setting clear boundaries about what you will and won't accept, while also remaining open to understanding her perspective. It means being willing to have difficult conversations instead of avoiding them or turning them into battles. When you're ready to have that conversation, and only when you're ready, approach it from a place of curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of saying, "You hurt me, and here's why you're wrong," try saying, "I was hurt by what happened, and I'd like to understand your perspective so we can figure out how to move forward." This approach does two things. It honors your own experience while also creating space for her to explain herself without becoming defensive. Most people, when they're not being attacked, are willing to be vulnerable about their own struggles and mistakes. But here's the crucial part. You have to be prepared for any outcome. She might apologize and work with you to repair the damage. She might refuse to take responsibility and try to turn it back on you. She might reveal that her actions were more intentional and hurtful than you realized. Your job is to respond to what actually happens, not to what you hope will happen. If she's genuinely remorseful and willing to work on things, great. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means choosing not to use her mistakes as weapons against her, while also being clear about what needs to change going forward. If she's not willing to take responsibility or work on the relationship, then you have valuable information about who she is and what she's capable of. This doesn't make her a bad person, but it might make her the wrong person for you. The goal isn't to win or to be right. The goal is to handle yourself with integrity and to give the relationship the best possible chance to heal and grow. Sometimes that means fighting for it. Sometimes it means walking away. But it always means acting from your highest self rather than your wounded self. Remember, how you handle being hurt by someone you love is a direct reflection of your emotional maturity and your capacity for real intimacy. Every relationship will have moments of hurt and disappointment. The relationships that last and thrive are the ones where both people learn to navigate those moments with grace, honesty, and mutual respect. You can't control how she responds to being confronted about the hurt she caused, but you can control how you show up in that moment. You can choose to be the man who responds to pain with wisdom rather than reactivity, the man who addresses problems directly rather than letting them fester, the man who maintains his dignity even when he's been wounded. That's the kind of man who builds relationships worth having. That's the kind of man who grows stronger through adversity rather than being diminished by it. And that's the kind of man who, regardless of whether this particular relationship works out, will be capable of the deep, authentic love that makes life worth living.